Y'all are here for the Knitathon this week? I thought it was next week. I'm gonna need a hot minute. Hold on. Hi, come on in. You're here for the Knitathon? So nice to see you. I was just grabbing my knitting and a cup of tea and getting ready to sit down and get cozy and talk about some of my stuff. So come on and join me. Hello and welcome to the Cozy Sky Knits podcast. This is my channel on YouTube where I talk about all my knitting and some adjacent fiber crafts. My name is Elizabeth. I will be your host today. I live in Georgetown, Texas with my mother Nancy and my two senior cockapoos Sullivan and Griffin, who sometimes make an appearance on this podcast. If you are a returning viewer, I welcome you back with open arms. I'm so glad to have you as part of my community. It warms my heart to know that all of us are surrounding each other and talking and sharing our knitting adventures. If you happen to be new here, I hope that you enjoy your time spent with me here today and find something that inspires you. So let's get started. Grab a cozy drink or a cool drink if it's hot where you are, and let's get going. So let's get this knit-a-thon started with talking about what I'm wearing. I am wearing on top here my Starflake shawl by Stephen West. This was his mystery cal from 2019. It was really fun to knit along. He releases a clue every week in the month of October. It was a lot of knitting, but it was a lot of fun. I knit this up in two different yarns, blue mule fiber in the colorway Judge Roy Bean, and it's in the extra fine base, which is a really soft fingering weight that has some silk content. And then the second color, this darker green color, is Farmer's Daughter Fibers Foxy Lady base, which has 70% wool and 30% silk, and it's 428 yards per 100 grams. And the colorway is Pine Drop. So this was a really beautifully constructed shawl. Like I said, you're knitting one clue a week, so you don't really know where you're going on the adventure. You just follow along and try to keep up, but it doesn't matter if you finish late. There's a little bit, I think, of brioche in here, and then it has a beautiful lace edging. I will insert some footage so you can see the back of it because it is quite beautiful. So that's the first thing I'm wearing. I'm actually going to take it off now because it is getting a little bit warm here in Texas. The next thing I'm wearing is my Flores sweater. This is a cute cropped, kind of a boxy sweater from Erie Shimizu, and it is a raglan pullover knit top down and short sleeves, and it's really got a lot of texture to it. I knit this in a Manos del Uruguay yarn called Milo base, and it is 380 yards per 100 grams, 65% merino and 35% linen. So it's a really nice yarn for Texas and warmer climates. The color that I used is called Log Cabin, and it's kind of like a variegated. And let me get up closer so you can see the texture in the sweater. And like I said, it's a pretty cropped. I only had a limited amount of yarn and I couldn't get another skein that matched the same dye lot, so I knit it more cropped length. It does have some 2x2 ribbing at the bottom, a good bit here. Short sleeves, and I'm wearing it over a linen dress by Pine and Smith, which is, I think, a company out of California where they make beautiful hand-curated linen clothing. So that's what I'm wearing. My co-host Sasha over here is wearing a beautiful sweater by Pia Trans, who's hosting this knit-a-thon, and it is the cat number 2. And I knit this in Sanduskarn Double Sunday in the colorway Into the Woods, which is a beautiful olive green. This is a top-down construction with a beautiful lace yoke, and then it has quite a bit of ease in the body because of the way the yoke is knit, and the increases are kind of hidden, and you can make a bigger size if you want more ease in it, which is really nice, which is what I did. So I could have more of a sweatshirty feel, but with that elegant lace on the top, and I think it's kind of fun. What can I say? It was great pattern, very clear, raglan construction. Pia also puts some short row shaping in the bottom, which was really unique to kind of extend the back a little bit and kind of almost bring the eye forward a bit. And it was a really nice added feature to the pattern. Very clear pattern. I really enjoyed knitting it. As far as the yarn, it's the Double Sunday, which to me feels quite heavy, like heavy by weight. So when I wear that sweater, I feel like it weighs a lot. So that's the only drawback to the sweater, but that's just the yarn, not the pattern. And what else can I tell you? I knit a size 2, and I used a US 3.25 millimeter needle for the ribbing, and then a US 6, which is 4.0 millimeters for the main body. And like I said, the lace is really unique in that it hides the increases, and I think that's really a very pretty and unique feature. So great pattern, Pia. I love it. Let's move on into some finished objects, of which I have 2. We'll start with the smallest one, which is a pair of socks that I made. I showed these on my episode last week, I think. I had started and I had one sock finished and I was working on the second one. These are just a basic cuff down 2x2 ribbed sock. I didn't really use a pattern, just did it myself. Not too complicated. I cast on using just a scrap of contrast yarn that I had, a little Tweety yarn. The main yarn is by 3 Irish girls in the colorway My Cherie Amour, and that is a merino and nylon blend. And then the heel is marled with this sock yarn from Active. So here's the main color and then the heel color, and it created this really pretty marled effect. I talked about this last week, but I did not change my needle size when I did the heel or the sock, so it was a little hard on my hands because I was using a US 1 2.25 millimeters. That's what I do all my socks on primarily, but it really created a nice thick heel and a nice thick toe, which I think are the main wear points on my socks. So I think it'll be good for durability. So very happy with these. I think they turned out really pretty. Color's really pretty. I'll be happy to have these now that the weather is starting to cool down. My next finished object is my Keep It Warm sweater, which is a beautiful lace sweater with a folded down collar, so a double collar, and it is by Yeon Hwa Lee. And I knit this in Miss Babs Katadin. Let me set it down for a moment. Miss Babs Katadin, which is 100% superwash blue-faced Leicester wool. And it comes in a 400 gram cake. I used almost 200 grams, so I used about 190 grams. Still have 210 grams left, so I'll be able to get another sweater out of that. And then I held that double with Tussock Sock by Pearl Soho in the colorway Pink Fog. So it's a real pale pink. So this has a more of a cool tone, and this was a warmer tone, and together it made this really pretty tone here. So this sweater was knit top down, folded over collar. The worst part, I think I talked about last week, was the pattern was a little bit clunky in the way it was written and organized to get you through those short rows. It was a little bit difficult for me, but I persevered and I did get through. And once I did, the sweater was really easy to knit, and I think it's just gorgeous. I did make a couple of modifications. Well, actually just one modification. The sleeves are knit straight, and then they're ribbed at the bottom. I'm not a huge fan of wide, loose sleeves. So I went ahead and I did not do any decreasing on the sleeves at all until the very end. And then I did a rapid decrease where I cut my stitches in half, and then I did the rib cuff, the twisted rib cuff. So it created just a slight balloon effect. And I think it's really feminine, a feminine choice. And I think the sweater is very feminine. So for me, that's kind of what suited my needs and also the look I was going for. So I plan to wear this more as a dressy sweater because of the mohair. And anyway, I just think it's very pretty. It has the twisted rib bottom edging as well. And I did the tubular bind off on all of my edges, the cuffs and the bottom. So really, really happy with this finished object. Let's dive into some of my works in progress and show you what's on my needles currently. So the first project that I have is actually in a new bag that I got a couple weeks ago at the DFW Fiber Festival in Dallas. And it is by Redesign, and it's the bag number 39, which is this beautiful bag, kind of the square style with a zipper, and it's got a small pocket on the front, which let me show you that. The zipper section here, and then just a spot to put like your phone or what have you, and these little elastic bands here where you could put your needles or pens, scissors, whatever you might want to. I liked this bag because it had the short handle, so you could carry it more like a medicine bag style, and then it also has the crossbody long strap, which I love. I travel a lot, and that will be a really good bag for me to travel with. The bag actually opens with a zipper that goes all the way across. If I had to make one recommendation, it would be that it was a double zip, so you could unzip it from the center instead of having to go from one end to the other. But nonetheless, it's a great bag, and it holds a ton. So if you can see in here, I have a sweater quantity of yarn and my sweater, and there's a center pocket here that zips to put things in, and a couple elastic pockets on the side and some elastic straps on this side. So in here is what's on my needles, and this is an ongoing project that I've been doing with my friend Melissa from the Pearled in Texas podcast, and it is my Alpenglow. So I talked about this, I've shown it before on the podcast, but I haven't shown it in a bit, and had the body completely finished, and I'm working on the sleeves. So I am almost done with the first sleeve. I have just a couple more repeats of the color work, and then I do the main color work to match the yoke and then the ribbing, and then I'll be able to do the second sleeve. So I am knitting this in Red Stag Fiber Highland Sport in the colorway Aberdeen Shine. That's what it is. Yeah. And the color Antique Linen, which is a really pretty kind of a grayish white, along with Spin Cycle Dyed in the Wool in the colorway Stay Ready, and this Luxurious Fiber by Moondrake Yarns in the color, it's the Foo base, Foo base, which is, let's see, I think it's 70% cashmere, that's why it's luxurious, and 30% merino. Comes 200 yards per 50 grams. And the Red Stag Fiber is a sport weight, 328 yards per 100 grams, and it's 100% non-superwash wool. So really nice feel to it. It's not scratchy at all. I actually really like that base. And then, of course, Spin Cycle, most people are aware of that. That's a superwash merino, and it's the color changing yarn, which is just so much fun to knit with. So I'm knitting a size 3 on using US 2.5 millimeters, or excuse me, 2.75 millimeters for the ribbing, and then US 4 or 3.5 millimeters for the main body and color work. And I think the only modification I've done so far, and probably the only modification I will make on this sweater, is that I did not do a fold over collar, because the sweater is going to be warm anyway because of the wool content. So for Texas, I just decided to do a standard 2x2 rib collar, and I think it looks pretty, and it won't be quite as warm for me. So hope to get this finished soon. The sleeve is not taking that long. I actually had knit it about about 3/4 of the way and figured out I had done the not increases. I always say increases on sleeve, decreases on the sleeve incorrectly, and I just ripped it back and started over because I wasn't liking the way it looked. So moving right along now and hoping to get it finished pretty soon. So that is my first work in progress. The second thing on my needles is being housed in a cute bag from my shop on Etsy, Cozy Sky Co. And it is these really cute, I don't know if they're gerbils, guinea pigs, I don't know, but they're so cute. And they're a little cowboy sitting by a cactus doing the rodeo stuff. And then I made it with this cute fringed trim. And it's a drawstring style bag. And in here, I started a new pair of socks because if you've been here before, you know that I like to have a pair of socks on my needles. It's my comfort knitting right now. So I am working on the socks from Biscotte yarns. And I got this also as a project kit from Biscotte at the DFW Fiberfest a couple weeks ago. So let me pull this yarn out of here. The pattern is called the Biscotte Sheep, I think. What is it called? No. Oh yeah, okay. Biscotte's Sheep, or in French, excuse me for my poor French, but Les Moutons de Biscotte. So it's a very cute color work sock full of little sheep, and I just think it's adorable. And the bottom of the foot is done in a 2-color rib. And you're using a color striping, self-striping yarn, which is providing this really unique effect. And then I'm just using a solid here for the sheep in the main toe and heel. This pattern is knit from the toe up, so I used Judy's Magic Cast On. I'm knitting the size 72 stitches on a US 1 or 2.25 millimeter needle. I use these shorties, the Giago shorties. I use a 4-inch tip and a 3-inch tip to provide the ultimate comfort for my hands. I have them in a needle stopper right now, which I also should mention this. I get a number of inquiries asking me if I have stitch stoppers that have smaller holes, and I don't, but you really don't need it. If you're using below a size 2 needle with your stitch stoppers, you can hold the 2 tips together and they will fit into most stitch stoppers to a single hole, and you just put them in together and you just use one of them for a sock. So there's a little tip for you on that. Anyway, getting back to the project, the yarn base is called Bis Sock, and it's 85% merino, superwash merino, and 15% nylon. It's 435 yards per 100 grams, and the white color is called Nature, and it's pretty much just an undyed. And the color striping, self-striping yarn is called Hero d'un Printemps. I don't know if that is in English, but it's a beautiful green, turquoise, olive green. It's just a really pretty stripe, as you can see. Very fun pattern. This is really quick to knit. You just want to, in addition to getting to the next color stripe, you want to see the next sheep come. So it is done with a short row heel, and I haven't decided yet. I have to decide pretty soon because I'm getting pretty close to being split. But I have to decide. It's done with a short row heel, and I'm not sure that that is the best heel for my foot, so I may do an afterthought heel instead. I don't know. I have to, like I said, decide about that pretty soon here. But really fun project. And I also wanted to show that I am holding this pattern. Well, no, it's my other pattern, but I'll show you a new tool I got. This is for my next project, but I'm holding the pattern chart, and this is a free pattern, so it doesn't matter. But I have this really cute wooden pattern holder that you slide your pattern up and down to see the chart, which I love. I have the Coco Knits magnetic board for charts and following on. I don't have anything in there right now, but you can see. And I love this because it can stand up and it's great. What I don't like about this is it's very heavy, and for traveling, you know, I just don't want something heavy in my bag. I have enough stuff to carry on a trip usually. So I saw this at DFW and I thought, oh, it's so lightweight. This will be perfect. And I can just put my pattern in there and have that in my bag with my project and no extra weight added. So I just want to show that. So that brings me to my next work in progress. And it is being housed in this adorable little basket that I found, this mushroom basket. I just found this on Amazon and I thought it was so stinking cute. The door actually opens, which I think is hysterical. And you can take a peek in. And it's got the cute little windows. And then the top actually opens up. And I have a project in there. So let's talk about the project. This is a new cast on since my last episode last week, and it is a slipover. It is the Rimfrost slipover by Carrie Rasmussen, and it's a free pattern on the Phil Colonna website, and I am knitting it in a beautiful yarn from Lobby Anime. And this is the first color, well, the first yarn is the Helix base. Oops, hold on just one second. I got a little tied up here. The first base is Helix, which is an amazing base from Lobby Anime. And it is 75% Falkland Merino and 25% Gotland wool. And it just has this fantastic feel to it. It is a lace weight yarn. It's 770 yards per 100 grams. And I am knitting it in the colorway Winterfell, which is a really dark teal, really super dark teal. And then I'm also knitting that, holding it together with a strand of another base that I had not, excuse me, had not tried. It's called the Soyu. And it is 459 yards per 50 grams. And it's a mohair, but it's 64% kid silk mohair and 36% silk. Also in the color Winterfell. And I can show it here. I have these in my yarn cozy, sorry, to hold tension on them. And this is a little bit different than Lobby Anime's standard mohair base. That has, I think, almost 600 yards or around 600 yards. So it's a little bit thinner. This is a little bit thicker and it's really, really a nice base. I'm enjoying the fabric that it's making. So what I'm knitting, like I said, is the Rimfrost slipover, which is a bottom up. Sorry, I got tangled up here. Bottom up slipover that you knit the front panel and the back panel, and then you're going to connect the shoulders. And then you'll pick up and knit a collar, ribbed collar around the neckline. Then as far as the sides, you pick up some stitches and you knit an I-cord on each side, and then it ties. So it's kind of in a bow or not, or whatever. I also thought about doing maybe an I-cord with a button closure. I haven't decided, but it's very pretty. This is a lace pattern. Get it the right side here. It's gonna be a little bit difficult to see. But the halo, and if you can see the halo on this, is just incredible. The feel of it, the drape, these two bases together are just amazing. So I saw this pattern, I'm not even sure where I saw it, online somewhere, and I looked at it and I immediately thought that, oh, I want this in a dark color to wear like a nice crisp white blouse underneath, and I thought it would really show off the lace nicely. So this is what I chose. I found this yarn at McKinney Knittery up in Dallas when we were there for the DFW Fiberfest. We went there the day before the festival. So anyway, knits up pretty quickly, not too complicated. I do use stitch markers in between the repeats of the lace, so if I do make a mistake or my stitch count gets off, I know right where to go to find it. And that's about all that's really active on my needles right now. Because it's October and Stephen West is doing his Mystery Cal, I thought it would be fun to go through some of my Stephen West knits throughout the years. I have never knit a Stephen West garment nor a pair of socks. All I have actually done are shawls, but I think he is just a genius of a designer. His sense of color, his sense of shape, he's always pushing the boundaries. He's pushed my knitting skill to the next level. I've learned it's so much fun to go through the years and see like where my knitting skill was at that time and through my first one, which was 12 years ago, and to now, and my choice in colors and everything. He just really pushed me out of my comfort zone in all of this knitting, and I'm so grateful for that. But I thought it would be fun to share with y'all. So let's get started on that. First, I'll show you a few of them that were not part of the mystery cows. And the first one is just a small lace shawl that is called Ithaca. And it's just a striping shawl. It's an asymmetrical triangle. I knit it in Juniper Moon Finley in a lace weight. And I'm not going to go too much into the yarns on these because it will take quite a bit of time, but I will have links in the show notes in the more section under YouTube here under the description. And so you can click through and see if you want to know what yarns I used and what have you, needles and that kind of stuff. But this is just a fun lightweight shawl. The original pattern had some tassels, I think with beads or something like that. And I chose not to do that. I just wanted a little light shawlette kind of thing to throw over in air conditioning or when I travel kind of thing. So that's what that is. And it's in a beautiful like chartreusey green and navy blue, which I think is a pretty color combination. The next item I knit was the Vertices Unite, which I knit this quite a while ago. And actually we took a class at Hill Country Weavers, which was a local yarn shop here in Texas. Unfortunately, they're no longer in business, but we took a class there and I actually got to meet Stephen West and showed him my shawl, and it was a lot of fun. So I have a picture of that I'll insert. But here is my Vertices Unite, which is quite colorful. And it's a garter shawl that's really unique construction, knitting triangles and picking up along edge of one to start the next in your striping. And I don't know if there were any outlets. I think that was pretty much it, just the striping. So it's all really about the color, the construction, and striping. And then you knit around the edge with an I-cord edging, which was a lot of fun to kind of enclose it all. I wear this shawl a lot. I love it. Although it's a lot of color, it's actually somewhat neutral. And if I have like a black top or a beige top or a white top, I can throw this on. It just adds a little pop for me, but yet it's not too overwhelming. And I love this. And it was funny because when Steve was looking at, he loved the colors and he was very interested in this combination. He said, "Oh, you paired this chartreuse right next to the brown." And I thought, oh gosh, did I do something wrong? Here's the master telling me. And he said, "No, I love it." He said, "I never would have thought to do that. I actually love it." So that was kind of a cool moment in my younger knitting career. And then another shawl that I knit of his, which is probably my very favorite of his shawls. It's the Dotted Rays. And this is a favorite of mine for several reasons. You can see it's quite large. I knit this in, let's see, the yarn. I'll tell you a little bit about this one just because it's my favorite. So I knit this in Madeline Tosh Merino Light with glitter. And the first color is Copper Pink. The second color is Subtle Flame. And the third color is Whiskey Barrel. So let me get a little closer so you can see those colors. And you can hopefully see a little bit of the sparkle in there. This base is just so nice and drapey, and of course I love the pink and the brown, and I just love the shawl. It's very cozy. It's my favorite because I love the yarns. It's my favorite because I loved the process. It was truly a very soothing knit, and when I wear this, it takes me back to that soothing time of knitting. And so I absolutely adore this shawl, and it is one of probably my favorite of the shawls of his that I've knit. So then let's talk a little bit about the Mystery Cows, which is going on right now. I'm not participating this year, but I thought it still would be fun to kind of show you the ones that I've done over the years and talk a little bit about the process. So as I said, he releases one clue a week, and then you are supposed to try to keep up and finish that clue. A lot of people don't keep up. It doesn't matter. For me, starting this process was a total relinquish of control. So not knowing where the design was going, not knowing exactly how your colors were going to interplay, although he does give you quite a bit of information, you know, telling you like bright, neutrals, contrast, that kind of stuff. So you can do a little bit of preparation, but there have been times where you're like second guessing your choices. So anyway, the first one I did was way back in 2013, and this is called the color Craving. And this was a very bizarre shawl. And this was early in my, what I would call my hardcore knitting era. So early in my career, it's a very funny shape. And it's really hard to even know how to wear it. And literally I just usually throw it on and start wrapping and tuck, and that's it. And however it lands, it lands. I knit this with Knit Picks, I think, palette, which is okay yarn. It's not my favorite, but it's okay. And just I did it in a charcoal, a black, and then a pink. So that was my very first one. And it was for a newish knitter at that time in terms of, you know, expanding my horizons. It was quite an adventure. And it was a lot of fun too, because I was knitting along with a whole group of my friends from San Antonio. The second one that I knit was in 2014, and it is the Exploration Station. I think that's this one. So again, I think I used a lot of Malintosh on this one. This was a lot of fun. It was really interesting to knit, just a crescent shaped shawl with some yarn overs, and then it had some brioche, some short rows, and this actually was my first time ever doing brioche, so that was a lot of fun. It, like I said, expanded my skill set, and I felt like I was a brioche master after that. Not exactly, but you know what I mean. It was a start of my brioche career. So a lot of fun. I like the colors of that. I think it's really pretty, especially like to wear this in the fall. The next one was from, so that one was 2014. The next one, 2015, was the Doodler. And I really pushed my colors on this one. So I had this variegated yarn that was this charcoal with this purple and green, and I decided to just make that the highlight, and accent colors were chosen to pull out those colors, and I went with it. So it's quite bright. I don't wear this a lot because of the color scheme, but I actually really do like it. I think it's really pretty. I think it's kind of a work of art. And oops, is it the front? No, that's all garter. I guess it doesn't really matter. Anyway, you have some yarn overs, short row sections. The neatest thing about the construction on this is the start of it was this giant cable that runs along the top section. So super engaging to get through that clue. I was just obsessed with it until I got it finished, and I loved it. So, and I was actually knitting this when my father was going through chemotherapy. So I would take this when I would go with him during his sessions and knit on it. And it was quite the talk in the treatment center. People were always asking me, coming up to me and asking me what it was and what those yarns were and what I was going to do with it. And one man wanted me to make one for some friends of his for Christmas gifts, but I told him I couldn't do that. The other unique thing on this is that it has this fun little like bobble edging, which I thought was super cute. So that's a fun one. And it got me through a rough time. So it's funny to me how, as I look back at this, I see again my choices in colors that have changed and evolved over the years, and it just the memories that are associated with each of these. It's entertaining, it's heartwarming, it's just great. So it's really keeps you connected to your past and to your friends and family. So I love that about this. The next one I knit was in 2016, and it's called Building Blocks. I do not have that shawl anymore. I did not like that shawl. I didn't like anything about it. I didn't like the process. I did not like the shape. The yarns I used were okay, just not my colors maybe. I don't know. The whole thing for me just kind of went, I did finish it, and I tried to wear it. I wore it a few times, and ultimately, I think I gave it to Goodwill. So sorry about that, but I'll insert a picture so you can see that. And then in 2017, I knitted the Speckle Pop, which was a load of fun. And again, I had a variegated yarn that was multicolors, and then I just chose colors to go with it. And this thing is a bit crazy. So I went with some neons, which I don't wear neons that often, but I don't know, somehow I think it works in this shawl. And you can see it's this fun chevron-y and eyelet pattern, and then this really cool border. These giant, I don't know, he's kind of known for that, I think, those giant holes. So that was a lot of fun. I do wear this a lot, and I always get a lot of compliments on it. Everyone thinks it's so much fun. And they always ask me where I got it, and have to tell them that I made it. And then they're like, what? So that's funny. Then in 2019, I already showed, this was what I was wearing earlier, the Starflake shawl, which I will, take a minute here to show you the whole thing. So it's very large. You can see. Very pretty. This design was really unique because you start in these triangles and then you're building out, and it was just really fun. I enjoyed that knit a lot. Then the last one that I did, the last time I participated was in 2020, and it was the Slipstravaganza. And that's this shawl here. Again, a very large shawl. And I wasn't going to take part this year, but my friends kind of talked me into it, and I said, well, let me see if I'm sorry, I have hair in my mouth. Let me see if I have something in my stash that will work. And I did. I had some colors that I thought, oh yeah, these would be fun to go together and kind of get out of my stash as well. So pretty colorful, a lot of pinks, rust, turquoise, greens. And this was very interesting knit as well, with these kind of honeycomb things. And I don't know, there's just a lot going on in this shawl. Very, very busy. And then it ends with that chevron border. But super fun. It's a large crescent shape. So pretty easy to wear. Just wrap it around. Either throw it over your shoulders or wear it backwards and wrap it. I do wear that quite a bit. I love the colors of it. So I think it's very pretty. So yeah, those are my Stephen West mystery cals and a couple of my other knits thrown in there. Like I said, I think he's just a genius of a designer. I think he's done so much good for the knitting world in terms of his ingenuity, invention, pushing people out of their comfort zones, going past the boundaries, pushing the boundaries, just everything. And, I think our community really should be grateful to have such a treasure. I consider him a treasure in the knitting world. So hope you enjoyed that little parade of Stephen West. So I mentioned that I had gone to DFW Fiberfest in Dallas a couple weeks ago, and I did do some damage in the terms of yarn. I think last episode I showed the yarn I got from McKinney Knittery for the most part, and I wasn't going to show everything from DFW, and I've had so many people reach out and say, yeah, we want to see it. We want to see everything. So I'm going to show you. So if stash acquisitions are not your thing, you can go ahead and check out now. And thanks for being here. I thoroughly enjoyed showing you all my stuff and hope you got some inspiration out of it. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive into some of my acquisitions. So the first thing I got was some yarn from A Chick That Knits. And this is the Vintage Rose on Singles Fingering, which is a single ply superwash merino, 400 yards per 100 grams. And I plan to knit this, they ran out of it at the show, so they shipped it to me and it got here really quick. But I plan to knit the Whiteout Shawl by Melanie Berg, and it's an assigned pooling yarn. And so you do the rosebud stitch basically when you come to the pink and green. So that's the plan for that. Another kit that I got that I thought was just super fun was the Stunning String Studios Home is Where the Heart Is Texas Hat Kit. And it's a beautiful kit that comes with everything, the yarn, the pattern, or a link to the pattern, and even the cute little heart button that you put on wherever you are in the state of Texas. So I'm looking forward to knitting that colorwork hat up. And then I got from Knit ATX, which is a local yarn store here in Austin, that is the lovely ladies. Kai Wen is one of the owners, and she's just fabulous. And they were at the Fiber Festival as well. And they had the Cardiff Cashmere Classic. And so I got 2 skeins of that. And it's colorway 303. I don't think it has a name, but it's this pretty gray with these little light tweedy flecks of all different colors, kind of neon-y flecks. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Probably like a little, I don't know, maybe like a Sophie shawl type thing or one of the little scarves. I'm not sure. But I just thought that color was a lot of fun. And let's see. I also got this big basket, which I think is really fun. I just love baskets. And I thought the colors on this were super fun. So let's dig in here and see what all I got. So also from Knit ATX, Dawn Barker from Barker Wool was there in the booth, and she is famous for all of her assigned pooling colors, as well as her other beautiful designs and her amazing sense of color in her yarn. And I get this shawl kit, and it is in the Boro base, which is a BFL, 4-ply fingering, and let's see how many yards, 437 yards per 100 grams. And this color is called Boro, and it's like a deep navy teal color. And then this base is, excuse me, this is Surrey base. And, oh, I can't get the tags out. I don't want to take it all apart because I want to keep it together. But this colorway is, it's a Surrey base. It's the Zephyr is the Surrey base. And it is 50 grams, and it has 328 yards per 50 grams, and it is 70% brushed baby Surrey alpaca and 25% silk. It's a lace weight, and it's the color Esperanza. Esperanza? No, Esparza, I think. No, Esperanza, I was right. So beautiful, kind of a taupey color and a rose, a little bit of green in there. So I can't remember what pattern it was. I have it in my queue. But it was, she had a really unique new pattern to use these two yarns together, and it was really gorgeous. It was like a rectangular wrap, so that's what the plan is for that. I also got 2 skeins of this fabulous mohair from a new dyer to me called Nordic Star Yarns, and it is in the Pub Crawl and Deep Dive colorway. So Pub Crawl and Deep Dive. So this navy blue and this bright green, and it's a lace weight, 70% mohair and 30% silk, 437 yards per 50 grams for each of these. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. Probably some sort of a striped t-shirt, maybe even a ranunculus or something at a really loose gauge with just the mohair. I think would be really pretty. For now, it's going into stash. Okay, I also got 2 skeins of Red Stake Fiber Manor Collection in the Polworth Massam combination base, and it is the Yorkshire DK base, and it is 246 yards per 100 grams. And I don't know, oh, the color is Dun Idean, which is this really beautiful deep tonal brown. Not sure what I'm doing with it yet. And then, oops, I got 3 skeins of that, sorry. And then I got 2 skeins of the Red Stake Fiber Dacus sock, which is a really nice sock base. It is 70% superwash merino, 20% yak, and 10% nylon. And it's 437 yards per 100 grams. And this is Edinburgh Castle. So also, I was into a brown. Well, Josh's colors are really moody, classic. So he does great things with like blues and browns and grays and just amazing color sense. And I know he's got a very, I guess I would call it a very specific aesthetic, and I really enjoy it. So I got that. And then I got, oh, sorry about the crinkling here. I got 3 skeins of his Dacus sock base in the colorway Oh Majestic Navy, which is a deep dark navy blue. And my plan for this is to knit the Rosy pullover sweater that's recently released by Lynette. And so this will be my main color, and then I want a white, and this is, but I didn't want a white, I just wanted like kind of a neutral. And this is from actually Stunning String Studio, which is where I got that hat kit from, and it's in the Twinkle base. So it has Stellina, and this, oh, the color is Twinkle, and it's 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% Stellina. So I think that'll be really pretty. You can see that sparkle. So this will be the main body, and this will be the rose pattern that goes across that sweater. If you haven't seen it, it has a viney rose pattern, I think 2 sections of it going across. It's a drop, I think a drop shoulder construction. Beautiful sweater. Can't wait to get that started. And one other thing I got also from Stunning String Studio was this really cute kit to do a sweater garland. You can see that. And it came with the yarn, the pattern, and even the little itty bitty lights, the fairy lights that you put them on. So I think it's super cute. And my friend Jennifer got the same kit, so we're going to be knitting these hopefully together. So that's pretty much my haul. Oops, nope, one other thing. Hold on for just 1 second. I also got this beautiful, pull it out here, beautiful skein of stock yarn from Yeon Yarns, which is a yarn dyer here in Texas, in Central Texas, and it's the colorway Murphy. It's green, sapphire blue, red, bright yellow, and hot fuchsia. And it's a fingering weight, 70% superwash merino, 20% yak, and 10% nylon, 400 yards per 100 grams. And I just thought the colors on that were gorgeous. So it's going to be self-striping. And she does that fun gumball wrap, which I think is really cute. So that is my haul. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing some of that. That'll do it for today. I hope you enjoyed your time spent with me. I certainly enjoyed talking about all of my makes, showing you what I had on my needles and all of my acquisitions. I also thoroughly enjoyed going through all the Stephen West shawls, so I hope that that brought some value to you as well. I hope that you are having a great time with the Knitathon if you're participating in that. And thank you from the bottom of my heart to Pia for putting this all together for us. It's so much fun. I look forward to it every 6 months. And when that notice comes from Pia, it's like, oh my gosh, already kind of thing. But I thoroughly enjoy it. So with that, I will say farewell. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your time with whatever you're working on. Hope that all of your makes are bringing you joy. And I hope that as this cozy season kicks off for most of us in the Northern Hemisphere, that you are just enjoying everything that is on your needles and that you're encountering and dreaming about knitting. So with that, I bid you farewell, and I hope that you will come back again. If you wouldn't mind subscribing and giving me a thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate it as I'm trying to grow my channel and to grow my community here. So alrighty, I will see you next time. Take care and happy knitting. Bye-bye.